Like I have friends, I was just mouthing off to her about what happened in my life last week. And she was like, Kayla, do art about it. Like she knows me well enough that is like, I know you're not going to get what you need from mouthing off about this because you're going to feel bad about it because you're going to say something that's mean. Like I know that I am, right? I'm like, I'm heated and I'm mad. And she was like, just make time this week to do some kind of expression about this. And it was like, I need those spaces where people will remind me that this isn't just what I do for work. This is
what you do for your health.
It's my life. Like it's a resource in my life. It's like you said, the way that I see the world is now different. Like I can't see it a different way now.
And the way that you connect to yourself is now different.
Oh, it is magic. And it does feel like medium level woo-woo. It does. Like
I know. And I'm like, I totally embrace the fact that I am going to, in many communities in society, be considered like super hippy dippy, like super 1970s, like voodoo magic. But that's okay. That's okay with me because I'm also like a successful business person.
Yes.
It's what makes my world go round.
You might be asking at this point, what is expressive arts therapy and why is it magic? Expressive arts therapy is an intermodal, which is a fancy way of saying we do more than one thing, form of art therapy that puts creativity and curiosity and play at the center of the human experience. And at that center of the human's ability to work towards a different way of being. As therapists, what we do in partnership with you is we work together to shape it, to play with it, and let it inform us as we investigate your challenges, your stuck places, your unwanted patterns, your traumatic events, anything that you have experienced. Both Catherine and I support clients as we embrace curiosity in meeting the art that comes, in meeting the you that comes in session. Now, I have this theory that the art cannot lie, that a client or you cannot lie while you're making art. And here we expand on that now.
And yeah, you're right. Like the art doesn't lie. Like, I mean, in that moment, whatever art happens is what's supposed to happen in that moment. Like it might sound really hippy dippy or whatever, but it's so true. It's like, I don't know, sometimes I equate it, and not everybody is like into drawing cards or tarot or anything like that, but it has a similarity where it's just like, okay, well, this is what happened today. And maybe you're actually really frustrated with the thing that happened today, but that's also okay too, because it's telling us a story of like, you're just glued to this, like, I have to solve this problem or this experience. I need to heal from this experience, but that you already have a notion of that responsibility in yourself, which again, rigidity, right? Like the whole point of expressive arts therapy is like, how do you learn to play? How do you learn to be flexible? How do you learn to like be surprised, go veer off track and feel okay with that? And all of those things have feelings that come with them. So yeah, it's like, okay, so now the process is like, how do you become okay with the fact that there are all of these other things that want to be talked about because they're showing up here and you're really frustrated by that, but they're still showing up, right? It's like parts work. Like, I know you don't want the angry part of yourself to drive the bus, but it's driving the bus. So we might want to like talk to the driver and figure out how not to crash the bus.
Right. Like we got to navigate this safely home, whatever that looks like.
Yeah. Like, can we ask the driver to like pull over and park so we can have a conversation so that you're not like driving off a cliff? I mean, I don't know. I feel like a total expressive arts therapy nerd. Like, I just love it. Like, I love it so much because it's so surprising. Like, as a therapist, I get to continually be surprised as well by like what lands, what doesn't land, what's made, what's not made, where somebody ends up materially being interested that was not what was expected. Because I'll have people who are like, well, I'm into doodling. And I'm like, okay. And then eventually they'll end up like playing instruments instead or something. I like the unknowns of it. And it's made me so much more comfortable. And I still hate unknowns, but I would say instead of hating unknowns and being scared of unknowns, now I'm just like, ugh, this is uncomfortable and I'm cranky, but like, I get that unknowns are necessary. It's helped me flex the unknown part of my own brain to just be like, yep, there's gonna be something you didn't expect. And that's okay. And you're probably gonna be cranky for a couple days, but you can still name that unexpected things make you cranky and then survive the unexpected thing. So I kind of love, and I think maybe other therapists would say this too, like you just constantly learn when you're working with people. You constantly learn about yourself as a therapist, about different directions that maybe you need to take, different professional development you need to be thinking about, the types of clients that come to you where you're like, suddenly I'm working with a lot of clients who have had like intimate partner violence. I might want to, go, I'm actually becoming super interested. But yeah, I do often just feel like for me as a therapist, it just keeps coming back to expressive arts therapy. And I wouldn't even say coming back to art, because I think art is very different than expressive arts therapy in the sense of like what you actually are offering a client in session, which is like you can go get a pot and we can work with the pot, right?
Yes. Yes.
But I just feel like I'm constantly transforming in the things that happen in sessions with other clients too. Yeah, I just love the work. I think it's just really fascinating. And then especially for parents, especially parents who are struggling in the postpartum period, because you are stuck. Like so many people are just really stuck. And it's so many different levels of stuckness. It's like you're literally stuck in a routine.
Yes.
You are literally tied to a human being. And sure, like some people can choose to have a nanny or childcare or care, whatever like that. But most of the people that I work with do not have those things available. You have this multiplicity of constructs that are suddenly getting you stuck in that period. And like how completely ironic that you're raising a human being who is just taught that play is the centrality of all of life and development. And yet we're completely stuck because society has not told us that we are also allowed as parents to embrace play and development as being central to our parenting experience. It's like, oh, that's what the babies do to figure out the world. It's like, no, that's what we're supposed to do.
That's what we are all supposed to do.
That's what we're all supposed to do.
Yes.
We didn't just like turn 18 and then like stop exploring the world. Like that's not how this works.
No.
No,
but so society and teachers and older generations and the media have all told us that is a complete fucking waste of time.
Oh yeah, it's not important. And it's like, I mean, thank God there's actually some neuroscience that's coming in that's actually exploring like the benefits of play for adults on the brain. I think we've siphoned it into certain areas.
Yes.
I don't know if you've read, Barbara Ehrenreich has a really beautiful book called Dancing in the Streets. And it sort of talks about how we've like compartmentalized the way in which we experience communal joy and like communal participation. So she's a sociologist. So she's looking historically at like how festivals used to be embedded into life, or like, she references like the Roman amphitheaters and like lion fights and all that stuff. And so we have it used to be a lot more built into our culture that there would be like parades and festivals and all that stuff. Now we've kind of like siphoned it into like, that happened, that part of me exists at a football game, or like, I only get to do that on the Christmas Day parade,
Like I only get to dress up, or I only get to
or I get to experience that when I pay for a ticket to go to a museum where they have a sensory room. Like that's where I get to have that experience, that we've sort of hyper siphoned it.
Right.
But when you become a parent, it's like you have this amazing opportunity to just be malleable again with your kid. But like society has told us that that's separate from who we are. You are the parent, they are the child. This is what they have to learn to develop, and you need to keep them on that track. It's like there's no room for veering anymore. And like we have to work full-time jobs to afford our homes, blah, 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 like all those social contracts
Blueberries, all the things.
also don't allow us to actually have room to veer unless we have the privilege to be able to do that. But I think that's where expressive arts therapy and parenting kind of intersect, because you're just like, no, like you are allowed to play. You are allowed to like play with your kids, to watch your kids play and be inspired by it and not see it as like a waste of time. You are allowed to be as curious as they are when they like suddenly in the middle of walking to school just drop to the sidewalk because there's like ants coming out of a crack. And suddenly you're 20 minutes late. Who fucking cares? Be 20 minutes late. You can explain it to the school. I mean, if you're able, sure. Some people, again, privilege. Like if you need to show up at work, if you need, but you can at least say, holy crow, my kid just went straight for that. Huh. Like maybe when I do have time, I will tell my kid, hey, I wonder if the answer's still there. And after school, when we're not as rushed, or on the weekend when we're not as rushed, we're going to go find the ants again and actually get to embrace that moment because we couldn't embrace it. Because now I'm just like, I will stop. Like if my kid notices something on the way to school, and my co-parent says the same thing. He's like, we stared at a tree for 10 minutes. And I'm like, yes, man, like this is what I want to teach my kids. I think those are beautiful moments. I love it when my kids just stop, full on stop, because they saw something. And for sure, like I'm not always happy about it because sometimes I'm cranky and I'm late and whatever.
No, of course.
In which case I say to them like, oh my God, I really wish we had time for this. Like, I'm sorry, I'm rushing, you know, here's other ways that we could not be rushed in the morning. But I love when my kids just full on stop in the middle of the walk to school or the middle of whatever and are just like, boom, I'm in this moment. I just noticed a thing. I need to tell you about it. It's super important. It's making me think of all this other stuff. Now I have a drawing idea. Now I'm thinking of this video game. Like, I love those moments. I love those moments because it's like, get your head out of your ass.
Yes.
And just like be here with your kid. And I actually had a relationship therapist that also kind of tied it to relationship and attachment too, where she was like, those are bids for connection. Your kids are asking you in that moment to be in an experience with them. That's a bid for connection. That's them saying, you're an important person to me. I want to share this with you because this is cool. And I hope you think it's cool too. And if we continue to like not allow those moments to happen, then we're basically just saying, I can't take the connection. I can't take the connection. I can't take the connection. Yeah. So I love it when my kids get distracted for like half an hour or whatever. And it, yeah, like banking those for later. And then just being like, okay, we have like 3 minutes to notice the ants because your teacher is going to be mad at me for you being late again.
Yeah. Or I have a meeting or life or a dentist appointment to get to.
Let's see if the ants are still there on the way home, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's see if the ants are still there on the way home. Do you want me to check them on my way back home and I can take a picture? I've done that for my kids too, where I'm just like, do you want me to take a video of it on the way home and then I can show it to you after school and then we can look for it after school and then we can compare it. Like I also have kids, like my oldest has autism too. So there's like there's a structure that I can offer that also helps him be able to move on. So I take a lot of pictures of things to like bank it so that it's not lost.
Yes.
Yeah. But I don't think I would have been able to do that as a parent. I think some people can just naturally do that and they don't lose their sense of play and their sense of curiosity. I tend to gravitate towards those people. But I think the majority of us have lost that.
Oh, yes.
And the majority of us would really benefit from gaining some of that back. And if you do have the privilege of becoming a parent, because I also think just becoming a parent is a privilege, for so many reasons, it's just such an opportunity to play again. And I'm grateful that I had the expressive arts experience going into being a parent, so that I was like, wait a second, I have these skills. So even if I feel like I'm putting on my therapist hat in this moment to survive this parenting thing,
Yes.
like eventually I can hire my own therapist to help me integrate that.
Yes. Oh, yes. And
Yeah.
thank you for naming that curiosity and that play and how you navigate some of those moments with play, because the algorithm information that I am fed is a lot of like scripts and how to do something.
Yeah.
And I think those things are really important, because in some of those moments I actually don't know how to navigate it. So
Yeah,
I
sometimes we
actually
need them.
I appreciate the script or the better way to
Totally.
say it than it would naturally come out of my mouth. Because I think, and I've witnessed this, parents generally are so overwhelmed and stuck in their own stuff. Some of it non-negotiable, some of it negotiable, that play is like an inconvenience, right? And like my husband can access it. Like they will create this entire safari scenario, and there are like other characters, and there are other, like, and it will go on for hours, like hours. And my kids ask me to play Lego, and I'm like,
you're like, where's the instructions?
can you create the storyline and I'll just like add my little bits in? Like, I 100% agree with you about, if I had not experienced now accumulatively many 10-hour days trained in an expressive arts therapy, providing curiosity to other people and really nerding out about it, I would have a completely different view of it. This rigidity about it. And I know that because I experienced 2 years without it. Like 2 years not without it, because I did take like expressive arts and play-based therapy like in university, and there was a lot of like alternative viewpoints I kind of already had.
Right.
And so that really helped. But there is like before I was an expressive arts therapist, and there is after. And those two lives are very different.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say the same thing for me too, which is so similar to like your life before having children.
Yes.
Your life after having children. Like it really is this. Yeah. I definitely totally agree. There's like the way that I saw the world before studying expressive arts therapy, the way that I see the world after studying expressive arts therapy. And yeah, the way I see myself before I was a parent and the way that I see myself now after being a parent. Yeah, for sure. And it can be so tiny too. Like, I think that's what's also, I was going to say, like, talking about the script thing, it's like, well, what a beautiful drama therapy piece. Like, let's write the script, right? Like, that's really where it comes from. Sometimes we need the lines. We need to think about the lines and write the lines. And, but also this kind of the teeny tiny elements of it too. Because sometimes I have people that are like, well, can I still work with you? Because I know you're like an expressive arts therapist and we're not really doing any art. And I was like, oh, let's have a conversation about that you don't think you're doing art. Like, let's actually see the places where we have been playing that they don't fall into the category of what you think seeing an art therapist or an expressive arts therapist looks like. Because I think I've also been forced, especially with like the online, like I've been forced to like truly think about what is providing an expressive arts therapy experience for people, because it's huge, right? Like over here is this like a really ideal, I've been through the structure, I've been through all the parts of the session, I've done all of the I've done like all of the expressive arts therapy frameworks here, and we've participated in like multiple art forms, and we've done an intermodal transfer, and like that's over here. That's like the gold,
Yeah.
the thing you would love to have in every session.
Yeah.
But then you're over here where it's like, how can I introduce like one little tidbit of the idea of play, or one moment that allows you to be curious that still actually is heading us over into that direction of being able to engage more in an expressive arts therapy framework of being in therapy, instead of like, when we are done this therapeutic relationship, you will have a portfolio of artworks to take home with you. Some people will.
Some people.
But not all people. I would say most people won't. Most people won't.
No, it's the talking through a metaphor. It's the finding that grounding thing in your room. It's finding that moment of curiosity or flexibility, or just even a perspective shift, just in the way that I think expressive arts therapy people, whether they're therapists or facilitators, how they talk, how they ask questions, how they show up to that space, right? Like I have spent several sessions where nobody does any art, like visual art, but we have climbed the Grand Canyon, and we have walked up Mount Everest in our sandals, and we have stood on the edge of a cliff, or we, like
all those things.
All of that is the body-centered approach of the roots of expressive arts therapy. And I mean, man, we could talk about this for hours, hours, but I'm mindful of our listeners' time.
Yes, for sure.
I
love that we both love to nerd out about this stuff.
Just like, I mean, like literally, it's like
most people who are expressive arts therapists just love to nerd out about
They just do. I actually had a therapist tell me once, because I was going to her because I was feeling really professionally burnt out. And the things that I was saying in session, she's also, she practices expressive art therapy. And so she just said to me, like, you need an outlet. You need to nerd out about expressive art therapy with expressive art therapy people. Like that is the message I'm receiving, right? Is that like, it's not necessarily, I mean, yes, you could be burnt out, you could do less and all those things, but like this like stuckness is really that you need to find your people, and you need to talk about this stuff, because right now you're just doing it in this like silo, like you're just doing it on your own.
And that part of you actually wants to come out and play with other people.
And play with other people who know
join
the process.
Playground. Yeah.
Right? Like who know the terms, who know the like the joy of it, the fun of it. And I make it a goal to immerse myself in some kind of expressive art therapy experience on the receiving end.
Yeah.
At least once or twice a year, and not just like a single therapy session, which I also do attend with my own expressive art therapist. It's more I want to be on the receiving end for like a day.
Like an old friend haven't seen in a while. You're going to
I need to do it for like a day. We could
I'll nerd out with you anytime.
Like an entire series about expressive art therapy for parents. Like a whole
future conversation. Let's do it.
A whole like mini series of, how to integrate it into your life, or how to be more curious, or like any of those things.
Oh yeah, we're going to have this conversation.
Fantastic. Oh, okay. I love it. So I thank you so much for having this conversation.
It was so nice to meet you, because it is about finding your other people, right? Like your other people who know the work, and who just, like other people who have like tasted the magic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm so grateful for you. We will continue this conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.